Hello dear friends. Today, let's follow a warm and emotional story about Diep and CEO James, a married couple celebrating their wedding anniversary in a very personal way. Through this story, we not only witness their love, but also feel the complete happiness of a small family built on understanding, companionship, and sincere affection. It is not a loud or showy kind of happiness, but a quiet peace that slips into every ordinary moment, deep enough to make one want to pause, listen, and truly feel it, slowly. A year has passed since Diep and James officially became husband and wife. It may not be a long time, yet it has been long enough for them to walk together through many changes and emotional shades of married life. There were the early days of awkwardness, moments of adjusting to a shared rhythm, and then, gradually, an understanding formed from the smallest things. During that same year, their lives welcomed something truly special, Nee, the 4-year-old girl they adopted. She brought laughter, warmth, and a real sense of family into their home. Nee's presence did not disrupt their lives in a tiring way. Instead, it made everything feel fuller and more meaningful, as if quiet gaps that once existed had finally been gently filled. Their small apartment is tucked away in a peaceful corner amid the bustling city. By day, it is quiet enough to hear the softest sounds of everyday life. By night, it becomes a private space, completely separated from the noise outside. Tonight, that space is illuminated by gentle candlelight, spreading a warm golden glow, never too bright, but enough to soften the heart. The candlelight reflects on the walls and dining table, creating an atmosphere that is both cozy and romantic, intimate and unmistakably familial. In the kitchen, Diep carefully prepares dinner. Her movements are slow and familiar, each step carried out with care and attention. Every dish has been planned in advance, not out of extravagance or complexity, but because for Diep, cooking for her family is one of the clearest expressions of love. Each dish holds a memory, a habit nurtured through their days together. This dinner is not only to celebrate their anniversary, it is also her way of preserving rare moments of peace for the family, moments that, amid the busy pace of life, are easy to miss if one does not cherish them. James stands before the mirror, adjusting his suit. The room's light reflects a familiar image, neat, composed, and steady. In the outside world, he is a decisive, capable CEO, accustomed to long meetings, dry numbers, and strategic decisions. But here, standing alone in the intimacy of his home, his eyes are different, calm, gentle, and deeply content. The constant tension is gone, the invisible pressure lifted from his shoulders, leaving only a genuine sense of ease. It is the look of a man who has found where he belongs, a place where he can shed every public role and return to his simplest, truest self. In that moment, everything seems to slow down. There are no hurried words, no showy gestures, only the quiet of a small apartment, the soft candlelight, the aroma of food drifting from the kitchen, and a uniquely warm feeling enveloping this little family. 1 year of marriage is not measured by grand milestones, but distilled from these very simple things, shared evenings, understanding glances, and the quiet yet enduring presence of love in every ordinary moment. From the inner room came soft, clear laughter, innocent and light, like a gentle breeze slipping through the small apartment. Little Nee was hugging her small teddy bear, worn thin in a few places, sitting neatly on the bed, her legs gently swinging in a familiar rhythm. Her young, cheerful voice babbled as she sang along to the tune Diep often hummed softly each night before lulling her to sleep. Though the words were still imperfect and childlike, the song carried the carefree purity unique to children. Nee did not fully understand the meaning of the anniversary, nor could she name the emotions filling the house tonight, but somehow she sensed that this evening was special. It felt different from ordinary days, because all three of them were together, unhurried and unburdened, wrapped in a complete and gentle warmth that reached every corner of the room. The sound made Diep pause for a moment. She stood in the kitchen, looking at the dishes steaming gently on the stove, the heat blending with familiar aromas to create a feeling of closeness that was hard to describe. Her eyes lit up with a quiet joy, not bright or showy, but calm and deep. For Diep, this moment was more than simply finishing a meal. It felt like a silent note of gratitude to the year that had passed, for the difficult days that once seemed impossible to overcome, for the moments of exhaustion when they still chose to stay together, for times that felt fragile yet became the solid foundation of their family. Above all, it was gratitude for the little girl who had entered their lives so gently, without noise, without demands, yet enough to change everything in a warmer direction. James stepped up behind Diep while she was lost in thought. He made no sound, simply wrapping his arms around her from behind, a familiar gesture that never became careless. Resting his chin on her shoulder, his steady breathing carried a sense of peace that only came when he was beside her. "You're beautiful," he said softly, his voice low and unhurried. "I still can't take my eyes off you." It wasn't a grand compliment or a rehearsed line, just a sincere feeling spoken naturally, the same way he had looked at her from the very beginning until now. Diep smiled. She felt the familiar warmth at her back, the sense of safety softening her heart for a moment. Then she gently leaned aside, lightly nudging him away so she could continue cooking, an action both familiar and playfully her own. "You always say that," she laughed softly, without a hint of reproach. "But today isn't about compliments." She paused, as if gathering her thoughts, then continued more slowly. "Today is about us, about the year we've had, and about this family." James didn't respond right away. He reached for Diep's hand, interlacing their fingers, feeling the warmth between them. When he spoke, his voice was deeper, calm and sincere, as though every word had been carefully weighed. "I still can't believe it's been a year," he said. "Time passed faster than I expected. We've been through so many challenges, moments when everything felt almost too much." He squeezed her hand gently, emphasizing what he was about to say. "But nothing, no difficulty at all, has ever made me stop loving you. And since Ni came into our lives, I truly understand what a home is. Not just a place to live, but a place you want to return to, no matter how exhausting the world outside may be." Diep didn't answer immediately. She simply held his hand tighter, a small gesture, yet filled with emotion. In her chest, a quiet but genuine happiness rose, deep enough to make her heart tremble. Over the past year, from meeting James, deciding to marry, to thoughtfully choosing to adopt little Ni, nothing had ever been easy. There were moments of confusion, of exhaustion, even fear before such big changes. But through all of it, she had never felt alone. "I never thought happiness could be this peaceful," Diep said softly, her voice gentle but clear. "It doesn't need grand things. Just having you by my side, having me in this home, makes me feel like I truly have a family." The words were simple, unadorned, yet they came straight from her heart, from the lived experience of a woman who had known instability well enough to understand the value of peace. James bent down and gently kissed her forehead. The kiss was light, more like a quiet promise than a dramatic romantic gesture. "I feel the same," he said, his voice lowering. "You're not just my wife, you're my partner, the heart of this family." In that moment, beneath the warm lights, with the lingering scent of food in the air and little Ni's soft singing drifting from the other room, everything seemed to settle. No more words were needed, their bond was already there, clear, enduring, and filled with love. Dinner was ready. The small living room had been neatly rearranged, warm yellow light spilling softly from the ceiling and blending with the small candles thoughtfully placed on the dining table, creating an atmosphere that felt unusually warm and intimate. Nothing was overly elaborate or showy, yet every detail carried care and intention, as if simply stepping into the room was enough to sense that this was a special evening, unlike any ordinary day. Little Nie sat between the two of them, her tiny feet not quite touching the floor, swinging happily in the air. Her face was radiant, her eyes sparkling with childlike joy as she helped place the napkins on the table. To Nie, this was a very important task. She carefully set each napkin down, slightly crooked at times, then turned to Diep and James with an expectant look, waiting for praise. Such a small act was enough to make her feel included, like a true part of the evening and a real member of the family. Her giggles rang out, bringing even more life and warmth to an already cozy space. The dinner unfolded at an unhurried pace. No one rushed, and there was no sense of simply getting through a meal. This was not only a dinner to celebrate a wedding anniversary, but also a moment for both of them to slow down after the chaos of everyday life, to truly look at one another and appreciate what they had. Small stories were shared, interwoven with comfortable silences, moments where eye contact spoke louder than words, where simply being together was enough to feel at peace. Diep lifted her glass, her movement gentle and unhurried. Warmth shone clearly in her eyes, not only for James, but also for Little Nie sitting between them. "To a wonderful year," she said, her voice low yet clear. "A year of love, understanding, and of us becoming a family." It wasn't a rehearsed toast, but emotions distilled from real experiences, a year filled with joy and sorrow, challenges and moments that taught her happiness does not come from perfection, but from walking through everything together. James raised his glass as well. The emotion in his eyes as he looked at Diep and Nie was unmistakable. "To you, Diep," he said softly. "And to Nie." He paused briefly, allowing his feelings to settle. "You've made my life more complete than ever. I promise that no matter what the future brings, I will always protect and cherish this family." The promise was not grand or loud. It was spoken in a quiet, intimate space, like a silent commitment, steady and enduring. Seeing the adults raise their glasses, Little Nie eagerly followed suit. She lifted her tiny glass of fruit juice with both hands, still a bit unsteady, causing the liquid inside to slosh. Her innocent gesture made both Diep and James laugh. Their laughter rang out naturally, erasing any distance and making the dinner feel even warmer. In that moment, nothing more was needed, happiness was clearly present at that small dining table. When dinner ended, the candles had burned lower, their light softer, spreading a calm that was hard to name. The space grew quieter, filled only with the gentle nighttime sounds of the apartment. Diep stood up, walked over to a small cabinet, and returned holding a carefully wrapped gift box. The wrapping was simple yet refined, showing how much thought and time she had put into it. James looked surprised. "What's this?" he asked, curiosity and surprise in his voice. Diep smiled, a soft smile, full of emotion. "A gift I prepared for you," she replied, placing the box into his hand slowly, as if offering not just an object, but a piece of her heart. James opened the box. Inside was a refined wristwatch, simple in design yet elegant, perfectly suited to his style. The light reflected off its face, making it glimmer softly. Looking closer, he noticed words carefully engraved on the back. "Since I met you, time has truly had meaning." James fell silent for a moment. He didn't speak right away, only tightened his grip on the watch, as if afraid his emotions might spill over if he let go. "This is the most meaningful gift I've ever received," he said, his voice noticeably deeper, filled with genuine emotion. Diep looked at him gently. "It's not just a watch," she said softly, each word slow and clear. "It's a reminder that no matter how time passes, no matter how busy we become, what matters most are the moments we share together, as husband and wife, and as a family." In that moment, amid the softened candlelight, the quiet rhythm of the apartment at night, and Little Nie sitting beside them, the sense of connection between them became clearer than ever. No grand promises or showy gestures were needed, because the peace and mutual appreciation they shared at that moment were the clearest proof of the happiness they were carefully preserving together. James gently wrapped his arms around Diep, the embrace slow yet firm, as if he wanted to hold this moment still while time quietly flowed past. Before either of them could say anything more, little Me suddenly ran over from the side, stretching out her small arms to hug them both tightly. Her little body pressed close, warm and trusting, in a completely natural reflex. The three of them leaned into one another in the small living room, no planning, no prompting, yet forming a complete circle of love and connection. The room gradually settled into a gentle quiet. Soft music continued to play in the background, not loud enough to overwhelm the space, just enough to cradle the emotions spreading through the air. Pale yellow light washed over the three figures sitting close together, creating a sense of peace so deep that all worries beyond those walls seemed to disappear. There was only the faint music, mingling with the steady, unhurried breathing of three people leaning into one another, feeling each other's presence through the warmth they shared. Diep tilted her head slightly, looking at James from very close. His face no longer held the usual firmness, only calm and tenderness. She stayed silent for a few seconds, as if weighing something in her heart, then asked softly, her voice small but clear, carrying a very real trace of reflection. "Do you think we'll always be happy?" The question held no doubt, nor any great insecurity. It was simply a very human thought, spoken in a rare moment of peace, when one allows oneself to look directly at the future, without embellishment, without avoidance. Diep wasn't searching for a perfect promise, she only wanted to hear the true feelings of the man beside her. James looked down at her, his gaze steady and calm. There was no hesitation, no need for long thought. He smiled, a gentle but certain smile, as if the answer had always been there. "Of course," he said. "As long as we stay together." His voice wasn't loud or forceful, but every word carried clear conviction. It wasn't a promise of a life without hardship, but a belief that no matter what happened, they would choose to remain together, face it side by side, and keep moving forward. Little Me didn't fully understand the adults' conversation, but she seemed to sense the warmth enveloping all three of them. She tightened her small arms a little more, nuzzling into Diep before leaning against James, as if to affirm that she belonged to this moment too, to this family. Her presence made the already peaceful space feel even more complete, for it was the clearest proof of what they had built together over the past year. A year had passed since Diep and James became husband and wife. Long enough for them to understand that happiness isn't always bright or overflowing with joy. There are tiring days, quiet moments, and challenges that force one to slow down and think more deeply. Yet it was precisely those things that kept their love from fading, allowing it instead to grow deeper and stronger. Their love was nurtured through understanding, through truly listening to one another, and through choosing to stay, even when things were no longer easy. Now, sitting together in this quiet space, both of them could feel that love still intact, even more mature than in the early days. And with little Me beside them, their small family was no longer just two companions walking together, but a true home, where each person had their own place, where connection was built from the simplest things. They believed that no matter how many unknown roads lay ahead, no matter how many challenges awaited, the three of them would continue to walk together, writing the next chapters of their family's story. A story that didn't need grand upheavals, but was woven from sincerity, peaceful moments, and the enduring love they gave one another day by day. Stay tuned for the next episode to discover what happens next.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình nhé.